One of the reasons you could tell that this shutdown isn't a good faith effort to keep us safe, but is instead pejoratively a power grab, is that the people in power that are enforcing it aren't abiding by the own standards that they put forth for us and enforce that we have to follow. Now, this is common when it comes to authoritarians, particularly Democrats that are in power, or socialists, or even some establishment Republicans. They'll suggest rules and laws for you that they themselves are exempt from. For example, they want open borders while they live in gated communities. They want to take away guns from you while they have armed guards. Even with this lockdown, we've been seeing a lot of these public voices, these people of power, suggest the lockdown. Oh, we have to follow the quarantine, while they themselves didn't. We see de Blasio saying you shouldn't go to parks that aren't your public park, while we catch him miles away at different parks exercises. We see Chris Cuomo, the media member, who supposedly had coronavirus, but found time while he was supposedly quarantined to be out riding a bike and threatening neighbors. We've seen the mayor of Chicago out telling people they shouldn't be on the street while she herself is out on the street. And example after example of this. I want to show you a story that is insanely hypocritical and shows just how ridiculous these people are, and the fact that they aren't taking it serious, which shows that this lockdown isn't because they seriously think it's a good thing, or if it was, they would be following their own enforcement guidelines. So, this article is from Zero Hedge, the link will be below. Scientist whose doomsday model sparked global lockdown resigns after breaking quarantine to bang married lover. This is from Today. Professor Neil Ferguson, whose dire coronavirus predictions prompted worldwide lockdown measures still in place, broke his own advice on the need for strict social distancing to hook up with his married lover, according to The Telegraph. Quote, on at least 2 occasions, Antonia Stotts, 38, traveled across London from her home in the south of the capital to spend time with government scientists nicknamed Professor Lockdown. The 51-year-old had only just finished a 2-week spell of self-isolating after testing positive for coronavirus. Professor Ferguson told The Telegraph, I accept I made an error of judgment and took the wrong course of action. I've therefore stepped back from my involvement in SAGE, the government's scientific advisory group for emergenics. I acted in the belief I was immune, having tested positive for the coronavirus and completely isolated myself for almost 2 weeks after developing symptoms, he said. I deeply regret any undermining of the clear messages around the continued need for social distancing to control this devastating epidemic. The government guidance is unequivocal and is there to protect all of us. Ferguson, who resigned from his government advisory position on Tuesday, predicted that up to 500,000 Britons and 2.2 million in the U.S. would die without measures. Somehow Sweden, which enacted virtually no measures to mitigate the virus, has a lower per capita mortality rate than the U.K., Italy, Spain, France, Belgium, and the Netherlands, all of which enacted lockdown measures. And while his computer models were flat wrong, Ferguson, who leads the team at the Imperial College in London, has frequently appeared on media to support the lockdown and very intensive social distancing measures. Of note, Ferguson and Stotts hooked up on March 30th, the same day he gave a public warning that the 1-week-old lockdown measures would need to remain in place until June. Stotts, a left-wing campaigner, visited again on April 8th, despite telling friends she thought her husband might have come down with the coronavirus. Oh, so she's sleeping with a lover who is diagnosed with the coronavirus and then is telling people, oh, my husband might have the coronavirus. Sounds like a great woman, huh? Quote, she and her husband live together with 2 children in an expensive home, but are understood to be in an open marriage. She has told friends about her relationship with Professor Ferguson, but does not believe their actions to be hypocritical because she considers the households to be one. But 1 week before the first tryst, Dr. Jenny Harries, the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, and Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, clarified during the daily Downing Street press conference that couples not living together must stay apart during the lockdown. Quote, he has peculiarly breached his own guidelines, and for an intelligent man, I find that very hard to believe. It undermines the government's lockdown message, said Sir Ian Duncan Smith. Meanwhile, over 9,000 fines have been issued to quarantine violators in England and Wales during the lockdown, while Scotland's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Catherine Calderwood, made 2 trips to her second home during the lockdown, resulting in her resignation. Isn't that amazing? So the Imperial College study, which was the one that was used by the UK and partially by the US to justify the lockdowns, the guy at the head of that's on television telling everyone, oh, you have to take these lockdowns very seriously, it'll save lives, gets diagnosed with the coronavirus and still goes out and commits adultery, which then may have resulted in his mistress's husband getting the coronavirus. This is the sort of hypocrisy I'm talking about. Here we see another person, Dr. Catherine Calderwood, who was in charge in Scotland and was recommending enforcing these lockdown measures. She too violated the lockdown measures. Why is it that these people that we have to listen to, oh, they know so much, we can't question them, you have to trust the scientists, yet the scientists don't trust their own advice? If they were worried this was an apocalyptic scenario with a disease that was going to kill us all if we didn't stay sheltered at home, why are they risking their lives to go have sex with mistresses? It goes to show you, this has never been about keeping us safe. This hypocrisy should not stand. The evidence is out there. We see from this, and I'll be doing a video on it in the near future, about Sweden. We see how places that didn't have the lockdown had almost the exact same curve as places that did have the lockdown. Now the difference is when places that lockdown open up, they're going to see a spike because they've sheltered us from just getting this not very lethal, low mortality rate disease in the first place, just like the flu and things like that. Instead, they kept us sheltered, which didn't allow this sort of herd immunity to take effect. And now we'll see a second spike. Whereas places like Sweden that didn't do the economic and rights infringing lockdown are doing just fine. Better than the UK with their massive lockdown. And all the while, every time someone like me is questioning it, I've been told, oh, you have to just accept these doctors. They're geniuses. How dare you question them? You want people to die. Yet the doctors themselves, when it comes to them, when it comes to their livelihood, they don't follow the own draconian authoritarian measures that they say the rest of us should have to follow. Everyone should be outraged by this, and you should call your local representative and tell them you're tired of this shutdown. It's time to end this disastrous policy. Hey, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I'll be putting more videos out. I think I'm going to be doing a live stream on my friend Sarah Corrier's channel on Thursday, and I'll have more videos coming up as the week goes on. So thank you as always, and have a good one.